I wanted to start off talking about watercolor brushes. I think they're the most important element in painting watercolor paintings. Paper is important. The type of paint you use is important, but the actual paint brushes are probably the most important because you can determine whether or not those type of brushes is suitable for the type of watercolor painting you would like to do. Right now, I'm going to give you an example of a natural squirrel brush. I'll paint a little green. I can show you exactly how it will turn out. This is thin strokes, a little green. It has a little bounce to it, and it's a little more softer because it's natural, of course. So this is a natural squirrel brush. It's a number 0. And they come in different sizes, and I also have a number 4 and I have a number 2 as well. Alright, I'll get to another brush, and this right here is a synthetic round brush. Basically synthetic meaning plastic. They call it natural or synthetic squirrel, which I'm not quite sure what that means, but it's kind of funny that we call it synthetic squirrel. But in any case, this is exactly the type of brush here. It has a little more bounce by being pretty much plastic. And I'll show you an example. You can get long, straight lines. And you also can get a little more thicker paint flow on it because it holds a lot of the paint inside with the bristles. You see right here, when I use a natural brush, it was really soft and delicate. The synthetic brush holds a lot of paint. Now let me just put a little more water on the brush. Try it again. Alright, you can do the same thing, but it still holds a lot more paint in the actual bristles. And you can go like so. And these are synthetic. This is a number 6. And they range in sizes from a very pointed one, a linear, a long brush, which is right here. It's like a very pointed brush, and I can show you an example of that. Steady hand. That's one thing if you ever using the long brush, is you have to really steady hand. And I'll show you an example of a mop brush. This is a number 3.4 round mop, synthetic, of course. Yeah. I don't hardly use this brush because I don't, these brushes are good for landscape, for trees, or for mountains, or for filling in huge areas, which is good sometimes if that's what the type of painting you have to do. And here is a flat synthetic brush. It's size 1/2, and of course you can get the long strokes. And put a little more paint up there. See a better example. There we go. Yeah. These brushes have good different applications. If you're painting a vehicle or if you're painting a building, you get the long, wide strokes, flat. And like I said, synthetic brushes have a lot of bounce to them. They're basically plastic that will reflect back to the original state, whereas in a natural brush, they will actually come back, but it's a subtlety about them that you can feel the difference. And I wanted to introduce another type of watercolor brush. It's another squirrel. It's number 10. And this one is a really good brush. I'll try a different color, darker green. And it holds paint well. And it just has a softness that the synthetic brush doesn't have. And you can tell by the strokes. And you see how the brushes are? Really soft and easy to flow. Go like that. And it mixes well. I kind of like the squirrel brushes. They're nice and they have different applications. Really, really easy to work with. Here's another brush. It's a synthetic brush, of course. It's an oval wash 3/0.4, and it's a pretty nice brush. You can make these are good for floral paintings. I'll show you an example. Like if I were to paint a petal, see how easy it is to paint a petal? You can just go 1, 2, right around like so. Because of the angle of the brush, the curvature, you can actually glide the brush around like so. And this is an oval wash. Here's a brush you didn't think I was going to bring up, a toothbrush. And the reason why I use a toothbrush sometimes is because you take a little paint. Let's just say if your painting style needs some stippling. You got your stipple right there with the toothbrush. And I guess I can go down to the smallest of the paintbrushes, which is your synthetic tiny brushes for little details. That's what I think is probably the last few brushes I'll go over. Tiny little print. You can use tiny small paintbrushes. I mean, the numbers go down to minuscule. This is like a 0. Yeah, you can get very fine details like this, which is pretty cool. One other brush, it's a giant flat. This is something I've used on occasion, is if you're painting on a big surface and you want a huge amount of paint at one time. You can a huge amount of paint, just go all over it like so. And it's synthetic, of course. Let's try a little pink and see what happens. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of odd, but I guess it's okay. This is just an example of what you can do with this large flat.
Well, this concludes a demonstration of the types of paintbrushes I use. In my next video, I will show you the types of paper I use as well. I look forward to seeing you. Goodbye.